Hey guys, this is Mr. Grice for Algebra 2 Unit 3.1 Notes. Today we're going to be talking about solving absolute value equations. Our learning target today is to be able to solve absolute value equations with one variable. So we're going to start with a review from Unit 0. Yeah, Unit 0. Remember that was, let's see, 3 units ago. Evaluate each expression if x equals 4 and y equals -3. Um, But what what are those? Oh, those are absolute value brackets. And remember that absolute value is the distance that a number is from 0. So when we plug in, we keep the brackets, okay? They don't go away. And let's start plugging in. So y is -3, so I have -3 minus x is 4. Well, -3 minus 4 is -7. And the distance that -7 is, the absolute value of -7 is 7. Because if you look at a number line, we'll be talking about that a lot. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, there's -5, 6, 7. -7 is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 numbers away from 0. Okay? All right, B. So we've got the -2 on the outside, then the absolute value of 4 minus 3 plus 1. And so we're plugging in 4 for x. Now, we treat the absolute value brackets like parentheses, so we do everything inside the parentheses first. So 3 times 4 is 12. Then we have 4 minus 12. Well, 4 minus 12 is -8. And the absolute value of -8 is +8. So now it's just normal order of operations. -2 times 8 is -16. And then -16 plus 1, we get -15 as our final answer. All right, last one. C. We have 9 minus the absolute value of x squared minus 4 times y divided by 7. Okay, so we've got our 4 and then our -3. Okay, so order of operations, we have to do exponents first. So 4 squared is 16 minus 4 times -3 divided by 7. After we do parentheses, we would do, or I'm sorry, exponents, then we would do multiplication. -4 times -3 is 12. And then I'm just going to start talking about the next step. The next step would be to add 16 plus 12, which is 28. And then I'm just going to rewrite it up here. The absolute value of 28 is 28. And now we have to think of order of operations again. What are we going to do? Are we going to subtract first or are we going to divide first? Hopefully you're saying you're going to divide first, right? Yeah. And then 9 minus 4, we get 5. Okay, so how'd you guys do on that? Do you feel good? Is it a good reminder? All right, so today we're going to be talking about solving absolute value equations, and there are 3 possible scenarios that we could have, okay? So the first thing that we could get is 2 solutions. And what happens when we know that is, when that comes up, is if the absolute value equation equals a positive number. So here's our first example. X equals 4. Well, what numbers are 4 from 0? So I'm trying to think what numbers could be inside that absolute value bracket to make that true. And if you don't know, well, you could draw a number line and be like, well, I know for a fact that 4, the number 4, is 4 numbers away from 0. That is correct. But guess what? What about negative 4? Is negative 4 4 spots from 0 as well? Yeah. So x actually equals two things. X equals negative 4 and positive 4. Okay, so that is two solutions. Now we could have one solution, and that is if the absolute value equation, so if the absolute value equation equals 0. So you're thinking to yourself, what numbers are 0 away from 0? Well, there's only one number that is 0 spots away from 0, and that's the number 0. And then the last one is no solution, and no solution happens if the absolute value equation equals a negative number. Sorry, I'm just going to write that out. Okay? Because what numbers are negative 4 away from 0? We're talking about distance. Distance can't be negative. Okay? So when that happens, you would say that x equals no solution. Or you could just write it out. Okay? Sorry, for some reason, it doesn't want to look all nice and pretty when I'm zoomed out like that. Okay? So two solutions is when it equals a positive number. One solution is when it equals 0. And no solutions is when it equals a negative number. Okay, so how do we solve this? So if an absolute value equation has two solutions, you must separate the equation into two parts. Okay, so we need to look to see what it equals to. And since it equals a positive number, that means there are two solutions. I would set my 1/2 x plus 3 and my 1/2 x plus 3. One, I would set it equal to a positive 9, and the other I would set it equal to a negative 9. And then what I would do is solve each case. Okay, so we would subtract 3. I'm going to solve each one of these individually. We get 1/2 x equals negative 9 minus 3 is negative 12. And to get the x by itself, I multiply by the reciprocal, which is 2. And then negative 12 times 2, we get negative 24. And now the nice thing about this is when I solve my second equation over here, it's the same equation except it equals another number. So I am doing the exact same steps as I just did on the left. Subtract by 3, multiply by the reciprocal, and then I get x equals 12. So what I'm going to do at the very end, I'm going to put them together. That x could equal negative 24 or x could equal 12. All right, example number 5. So once again, the first thing I do is look to see what it equals. And it equals a positive. So since it equals a positive, I'm going to break it off. 5 minus 4x equals a negative 7. And 5 minus 4x equals a positive 7. All right, we'll solve the first one together. To solve for x, I need to subtract 5 to both sides. Don't forget that that's a negative 4x. Negative 7 minus 5 is negative 12. I'm going to divide both sides by negative 4. And we get that x equals positive 3. Okay? Now I want you to do the other one on your own. Go ahead and pause the video, and good luck. Okay, and then after solving it, you should have gotten x equals negative 1/2. So what I'm going to do at the very end is I'm going to put those two answers together, saying that x equals a negative 1/2 or x equals 3. And if you look at it, I put those numbers in order from least to greatest. Okay, let's go ahead and look at the next problem. So if an absolute value has one solution, you solve the equation as it is. So how do I know that it's one solution? Well, what does it equal? If it equals 0, I know that it's only going to have one solution. So let's solve. Add 4 to both sides. We get 2/3 x equals 4. And to solve, we need to multiply by the reciprocal. 4 times 3 is 12. 12 divided by 2 is 6. So we get that x equals 6. Okay, same thing here. X equals 0, or the absolute value equals 0. So I'm going to set 14 minus 6x equal to 0 because it's only going to have one solution. I subtract the 14 to both sides, and you get that negative 6x equals negative 14. We're going to divide by negative 6, and uh-oh. Sorry, that doesn't look pretty, does it? Oh, what's going on? So if you can't reduce that in your head, what I want you to do is just divide it out. I have negative 14. Sorry, let's make that 14. Negative 14 divided by negative 6. We get a long number. I don't want that. So I'm going to change that into a fraction, and we get 7/3. So my final answer, x equals 7/3. Okay, so just remember, if an absolute value equation has no solution, you don't have to solve it. Just say no solution. And we know when it's no solution because it equals a negative number. Okay, let's go ahead and work on the back. So just looking through these, I know that this one's going to have 2. This one, my answer, I'm going to have 2 answers. Ooh, it equals 0, so I'm going to have 1. It equals, oh hey, what's it equal here? Oh, this one's going to be easy. X equals no solution. Okay, because when it equals a negative number, I just write no solution on it. Okay, so 15, that means I'm going to have 2 answers for that one. And 0, I'm going to have 1. Okay, so you can look ahead and solve those, or at least know how to. So for number 1, we're going to have 2 equations. So we do 1/2 x minus 3 equals negative 11, and 1/2 x minus 3 equals a positive 11. Okay, let's go ahead and solve. Add 3 to both sides. 1/2 x. Negative 11 plus 3 is a negative 8. And then to get the x by itself, we multiply by the reciprocal. 2/1 is the same thing as 2. And we get negative 16. On the other side, we're going to add 3 to both sides. 11 plus 3, we get 14. I know that the reciprocal of 2 over 1, or 1/2 is 2. 14 times 2, 28. And then I'm going to put my two answers in order from least to greatest. So x equals -16 or 28. All right, number 2. I know it has two answers, so we set -2x plus 7 equals -9, and -2x plus 7 equals a +9. Okay, pause the video, see if you can solve these ones on your own. Good luck. So we should have gotten x equals 8 and x equals -1. So at the end, I'm just going to put both of those answers together. Say that x equals -8, -1, sorry, or 8. Well, we already did number 4. That was nice. Okay, number 3, one solution. So I set -12 minus 8x. I'm going to set it equal to 0. And then we just solve. So we add 12 to both sides. 0 plus 12 is 12. And then I need to divide by -8. And then we get that x equals, you having trouble reducing that one? Remember, throw it into your calculator, 12 divided by -8. We get our decimal, go math, enter, enter, and we get that x equals -3 over 2. All right, last two. Let's set them up together, but you guys are going to solve them on your own. So for number 5, I know that we have one solution. So 4/3 x plus 8 equals 0. For number 6, I know that there are two solutions. So we set 9 minus 3x equal to a -15, and 9 minus 3x equal to a +15. And then we're going to go through and solve each one. So work on both of those. Pause the video. Good luck. Okay, and then when you're done, you get that x equals -6 for number 5. You subtract the 8, and then you multiply by the reciprocal. And for number 6, we get x equals 8 and x equals -2. And at the very end, I just made sure that those answers were in order from least to greatest. Okay? You need to watch your signs. But aside from that, all we're doing is solving. And we've been doing that for a while. So this is the end for Algebra 2, Unit 3.1 notes. If you have any questions, please come see Ms. Carranza or myself. You know we would love to help you out. Otherwise, this is Mr. Grice signing off. Thanks for watching.